You are sitting in your room right now, surrounded by things, objects you have not touched in months, clothes you do not wear, books you will never finish, cables that lead nowhere. And somewhere beneath all of it, you, buried, not in work, not in purpose, but in the silent weight of everything you own. You tell yourself you will organize it later. You tell yourself it does not matter. But every time you sit down to think, to create, to simply breathe, something pulls at you. A low hum of unfinished space. A room that whispers you are not in control. And you wonder why clarity never comes, why your goals feel far, why your energy drains before noon. You have tried the planners. You have tried the routines. You have tried waking up earlier, working harder, pushing through. But nothing changes. Not really. Because nobody told you the truth. Nobody told you that your environment is not separate from your mind. It is your mind, externalized, visible, breathing. Every object you own takes a piece of your attention. Every item demands a decision you have not made. Every drawer of chaos is a drawer inside your skull. You feel tired and you blame yourself. You feel stuck and you question your discipline. But the problem was never your effort. The problem is that you are trying to run a race in a room filled with fog, and no amount of speed will outrun what you cannot see. This is not about being messy. This is not about being disorganized. This is about something deeper, something the ancient masters understood long before self-help existed, something the modern world desperately wants you to forget. Your space is a mirror, and right now the mirror is cracked.
Look around. Not with judgment, with honesty. What do you see? Objects tied to old versions of yourself? Gifts you kept out of guilt? Purchases made to fill a void that still remains? Projects abandoned midway, sitting in corners like silent accusations. Each one carries energy. Each one holds you hostage to a past you are trying to leave, and you wonder why moving forward feels impossible. You wonder why motivation never lasts. You wonder why peace always feels one decision away. The hustle culture told you the answer was more. More goals, more systems, more input. More things to track, to optimize, to acquire. But the noise just grew louder, and the emptiness just grew deeper. Because addition was never the answer. Subtraction was. The ancient Japanese understood this. They did not fill their rooms. They emptied them. They did not chase abundance. They cultivated space. Ma, the Japanese concept of negative space. Not emptiness as absence, but emptiness as presence. The room that is full has no room for anything new. The mind that is cluttered cannot receive what it seeks. The person surrounded by possessions becomes possessed by them. This is the rule the masters followed. This is the rule the modern world has abandoned, and you are paying the price without knowing it. Every morning you wake up inside your environment, and your environment wakes up inside you. It shapes how you think, how you feel, how you move through the day. A cluttered desk tells your brain there is unfinished work. A crowded closet tells your subconscious you have unmade decisions waiting. A messy floor tells your nervous system it is not safe to relax. You do not need more motivation. You need less weight. You do not need a new system. You need space for the system to breathe. The Zen monks did not live in bare rooms because they hated beauty. They lived in bare rooms because they loved clarity more than comfort. They understood that every object you own costs more than money. It costs attention. It costs presence. It costs a fragment of your future self. And at some point, the cost becomes too high.
But here is where the path splits. Here is where most people turn away. Because letting go is not easy. The ego clings. It whispers that you might need it someday. It reminds you what you paid. It wraps sentiment around objects until they feel like identity. And so you keep them. And so you stay the same. The Japanese have a word for this process of release. Dan-shari. Dan, to refuse. Sha, to dispose. Ri, to separate. It is not cleaning. It is liberation. It is the practice of cutting the invisible cords between you and the things that no longer serve you. Not because they are bad, but because they are finished. Every object has a season, and seasons end. Holding on to summer in the middle of winter does not bring warmth. It brings confusion. It brings stagnation. It keeps you frozen in a version of yourself that no longer exists. The warrior does not carry old swords into new battles. The master does not fill the temple with yesterday's offerings. And you are not meant to live inside a museum of your former life. Disobey 50%. Not as punishment, not as deprivation, but as ceremony, as ritual, as respect for the self you are becoming. Start with one corner, one drawer, one surface. Hold each item. Ask only one question. Does this belong to who I am now? Not who I was, not who I might become. Now. If the answer is no, it goes. No negotiation, no stories, no guilt. You are not losing. You are making room for clarity to enter, for energy to flow, for your next chapter to finally have space to be written. The poor man is not the one with few possessions. The poor man is the one buried beneath things that own him. Wealth begins with emptiness, with the quiet power of a room that demands nothing from you, with surfaces that reflect stillness instead of chaos, with a space that exhales when you enter, instead of pulling at your nerves. This is not minimalism for the sake of aesthetics. This is minimalism as strategy, as philosophy, as war against the noise that has been winning for too long. The masters called it wu-wei, effortless action, not trying harder, but removing the resistance. Your environment is resistance. Every unnecessary object creates friction. Every piece of clutter is a decision unmade, an action delayed, a drain on your finite reserves. And you have been swimming through molasses, wondering why you are tired. Clear the water, and the swimming becomes effortless. Mu-shin, the mind of no mind, empty yet aware, still yet responsive. This is what your room should feel like, a reflection of inner mastery, not outer chaos, a training ground for the mind you are cultivating. You cannot think clearly in clutter. You cannot create powerfully in chaos. You cannot rest deeply in disorder. The environment either lifts you or buries you. There is no neutral. And right now, you already know which one yours is doing.
This is not about perfection. This is not about Instagram-worthy spaces. This is about congruence. When your outer world matches your inner intention, friction dissolves. When your space supports your vision, willpower becomes unnecessary. When your environment is aligned, discipline feels like nature, not force. Ganbaru, to persist with honor, to continue with patience, to improve through quiet commitment. But persistence without direction is exhaustion, and direction without space is chaos. Clear the space first, then the direction becomes obvious. Start today, not with motivation, not with a plan, with a single bag. Fill it with what no longer serves, feel the weight of it in your hands, and then let it go.
You will feel strange at first, exposed, lighter, like you lost something you needed. But that feeling is not loss. It is the ego adjusting. It is identity shedding what never belonged. It is space opening. Keep going. One corner becomes a room becomes a home becomes a sanctuary becomes a temple, and in that temple you will finally meet yourself again. Not the tired, cluttered, foggy version, the clear one, the quiet one, the one who does not need more, the one who finally has enough.
Kaizen. Continuous improvement through small, sacred steps. This is not one dramatic purge. This is a practice, a daily returning, a constant asking, does this deserve space in my temple? And over time, your standards rise, your tolerance for noise drops, your capacity for focus deepens, because you are training your environment to train you. The samurai kept their quarters clean, not out of vanity, out of respect, for themselves, for the sword, for the battle that might come at any moment. They knew that external order created internal readiness. They knew that a cluttered room was a cluttered spirit. They knew that mastery begins with the space you occupy before the action you take. And now, you know too. So here is your question, the one that will follow you after this ends. If you looked at your room right now, would it reflect who you are trying to become? Or would it keep you exactly where you have always been? The answer does not require speech. It requires action. And the action is simple. One bag, one corner, one decision. Not tomorrow, today. Not because you are broken, because you are ready. The empty room waits, not as absence, but as invitation. The space you create on the outside becomes the space you cultivate within. And in that space, everything you have been seeking has room to arrive. Sit with that. Let it breathe. And when you are ready, begin.